So I'm sure we're all aware by now that Mauer Der Toten is an interesting zombies map. I think it's a very fun and enjoyable map, and with every zombies map that comes out, there is a plethora of training spots that can help you keep zombies in control and get some high rounds under your belt. And so today we are going to be taking a look at the top 5 training spots in Mauer Der Toten, and I just need to say this real quick before I start. These training spots are my own opinion, and if you agree, that's amazing. Please tell me why in the comments, and if you don't, tell me what training spots you think should have made it to this list. I'd be genuinely interested to hear your thoughts. Okay, let's get into the number 5 spot, and this is going to be Spawn. Spawn in Mauer Der Toten is a very interesting one, to be totally honest. I mean, it's a circular type of train you'd be running, but there is a gap in the middle of it, and zombies very much can climb out of it, making this one of the more riskier spots to train in. And I've got to admit, training there was good, but definitely not great. Mainly due to the more tight and close quarter area that it actually is. Just imagine a Panzer spawn in there. It's gonna be the biggest problem here, especially when compared to the other training spots on this list. But overall, I've got to be honest, there's not too much to say about Spawn. You do actually have a workbench to go and run to, which is good. There is a tombstone there if you need it. I think the greatest part about this spawn is probably the amount of escape rappels that are there. There's 2, and honestly, they are in very convenient spots, especially the one that's actually on the roof. So quick escapes have never really been easier. The rappels are great. But overall, this is a pretty solid training spot and definitely should not be slept on. So moving on to a very interesting spot here. Coming in at the number 4 spot is East Berlin. So first, let's get this one out of the way. It's a great spot with many escape routes. I am of course referring to the alley as well as the grocery store and the stairs that lead you right to the train station. But with the strange structure of East Berlin's cars and big military vehicles just scattered around, there are just as many wrong turns that you could take and get completely sandwiched. So you do have to be very focused when you're training here. This is a fairly difficult spot to train in, but it is very rewarding nonetheless. Once you actually find the flow and the rhythm of where to train around East Berlin, it actually ends up being a pretty good spot. There's a wall buy nearby as well as a armor and weapon upgrade station, but in conclusion, East Berlin is a pretty good place to train, and honestly, that's all it needs to be to make the number 4 spot. Taking up our number 3 spot, this is going to be West Berlin, and completely unlike East Berlin, West Berlin has a very simple training spot, and I enjoy the simplicity of this one. There's a tank, and you just run hordes around it. Not only is it a great spot with enough room, but it also has a lot of utilities such as an ammo crate, trial machine, Klaus radio, and a Wonder Fizz machine, meaning you can get every single perk without having to go to those locations. You can just get them all from that one machine. West Berlin also has a few rappels to escape from, which is going to be useful if you find yourself getting into a bit of a bad situation. Now, the reason why this spot is not number 1, even though I'm really selling it to be here, is because this training spot has huge issues with spawns. As whenever I run trains there, especially on those higher rounds, zombies just seem to come at me from all directions, and essentially it's just very easy to get swarmed here and just become part of a zombie orgy. So if you're running trains around this area, definitely make sure you're focusing on what's right in front of you so you can clear paths and run round. Remember, you don't want to become part of that zombie sandwich. I think the best part about this training spot to me is all of its utilities, and this can make recoveries so much easier. I feel like I need to mention here, there are 4 rappels that you can escape to. 4, that is so many. And I think the Wonder Fizz and the Klaus radio is going to be very forgiving for downs, since Klaus can revive you if he's called in, or say if you do go down and Klaus isn't there, if you manage to revive yourself, then you can just call Klaus in to help you recover, rappel up to the building, and then just get all of your perks back from the Wonder Fizz. So honestly, if you find yourself going down a lot in your games of zombies, West Berlin definitely isn't a bad spot, although, like I said, just make sure you're focusing on what's in front of you, because zombies can kind of be all over the place here. In the number 2 spot, we have the Sewer Access. Sewer Access is a really good training spot that easily merits a round 100 strat video, and that's because there actually is a round 100 strat involving this location. Now, I'll admit this is not an insanely easy spot to train in by any means, but it is very effective. The trickiest parts of this spot has to be the pillars that you can just run into and then just get sandwiched at, because there's nothing worse in zombies than running a really good train and then getting stuck on something. You just thinking about it right now, it makes me feel dead on the inside, so let's move on. There are a few spawns that you're gonna need to look out for as well, because you don't want to get stuck on a zombie spawn in either, and you'll definitely need to be careful of barriers that can be right ahead of you, because these will lead to some very easy and frustrating downs. This place has plenty of utilities such as an ammo crate, an armor upgrade station, and an MX4 wall buy, which if that ends up getting upgraded on the wall to like a legendary tier, that is going to be so useful, especially in those early rounds, just being able to mow through rounds of zombies. And the MX4 is one of the best assault rifles. If anyone dislikes that, then get out. No, actually, you know what, just stay, please stay, I did not mean that. There's also a crafting bench and elemental pop just next to it at the power room, and I've got to point out here the armor station is one of the most useful utilities you can have in a training spot. It's going to be so useful for being able to refill and upgrade your armor, since it is a absolute godsend to be able to do those things in those higher rounds. Wonder Fizz isn't too far from here, although I'll admit you do have to rappel up and then rappel up another building, but it's an easy place to get to from where the sewer access is, so if you go down you'll be able to make a very good and clean recovery. And as you can imagine, with it being kind of a smaller training area, panzers spawning can be a bit of a detriment here, but the best thing to do here is to just try and this is mainly on those higher rounds again, try to keep them in a train with the rest of the zombies and just pick them off from there, because it's not going to be a good idea to just try and focus fire them, because you will get distracted 9 times out of 10. You'll accidentally walk into one of the pillars probably, and then you'll most likely get swarmed. I would say that this training spot is one of the harder ones to get a good rhythm going here, but once you do, and once you be able to just practice training around this area, it will be so useful to you in both early and high rounds. And that's why I think sewer access deserves the number 2 spot here. And now for the moment you have all been waiting for, the number 1 spot here goes to Pack-a-Punch. So the Pack-a-Punch area has to be the best training spot in Mauer Der Toten. Let's just start with the amazingly large amount of space to run trains around in. I mean, it's just all this flat ground and you have a lot of space here. You can actually utilize not only where Pack-a-Punch is, but the muddy areas with the towers to make an even bigger spot to be able to train in. And so if you're on a higher round and need more space, or maybe you have a longer ranged weapon, you can just clear rounds at a distance. And if you need any ammo or anything, you'll be able to dig through the small piles that are just near the watchtowers. You'll also be able to find salvage and equipment here, as well as ammo. And with the Pack-a-Punch machine actually being here, you'll be able to swap ammo mods at a whim if you so please. And over the pile of cars and rubble, there is an ammo crate, Klaus radio, and Wonder Fizz is not too far either. And I've just got to say, the tower traps absolutely slap as well, so they are going to be very useful as well. But however, the biggest issue with training at Pack has to be the barriers at the towers that you can easily get stuck on and get pinned down to. And the towers shooting you is also an issue if you are in their spotlight for too long, but I doubt you're actually going to be stood there for that long, because if you're training and moving around, especially with stamina up here, you won't really get caught in that. And so I've got to say, Pack-a-Punch, just without a doubt, especially considering it's not even a hard place to train in, it's pretty accessible and it's really effective, and with everything else I've listed, this is why it is taking the number 1 spot here. In conclusion, I think Mauer Der Toten is a host to some really impressive and very effective training spots. But anyways, I'm going to leave this video here today. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to smash the like button, comment any of your favorite training spots in Mauer Der Toten down below, and only a very small percentage of people are even subscribed to the channel, so if you aren't already, then subscribe. It's free, you can change your mind whenever. Turn on the notification bell too to stay notified whenever I upload more videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.